So, welcome back to another episode of the Beard Invades. This week, I've got Steve from SK Krafts, spelt with a K. How you doing, Steve?
All right, thank you very much. Hey, everybody.
Good. So you've seen how we do this. We've had a little brief chat on the new way of doing it. So let's just go straight in, yeah.
Yep.
Right. First of all, give us a brief introduction about yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Obviously, my name's Steve. I've been on YouTube now for nearly 2 years, I believe, or just over 2 years, one of the two. The reason I started YouTube was because my youngest daughter dared me to do a video because I'd only just started turning. I'd perhaps only been turning 6 months, maybe. And my youngest daughter dared me to do a video and put on YouTube. And if you watch my first video, you can see how nervous I was in front of the camera, because it's not the daunting thing of being in front of the camera. It's the daunting thing of talking to yourself, even though you know people are going to be watching it, but you're talking to yourself. And if you watch my first video, you can see just how nervous I was. But to be honest, even though I did my first video, obviously, as you start, nobody knows you, nobody's ever heard of you, this, that, and the other. And the comments I got were really, really impressive. And I thought, do you know what? This could, because I'd gone through a bit of a dark period before, because I just lost my grandparents, and they were more like parents to me than grandparents. So I was going through a bit of a dark time anyway. And I thought, do you know, this could really sort of help me move on. And that's why I did it, really. And that's part of the reason why I did the channel, because my daughter dared me. That's part of the reason why I carried it on.
Mm-hmm.
So I run a small company, business, building business. I've been doing it now since 2014. Started it because I was working for Campbell's of UK at the time, and they was moving premises to Worksop, and they was offering redundancies. So my line was being offered for redundancy, so I decided to take it. So when I took redundancy, me and my dad started to do insurance work, which got me into the building game. We was doing structural repairing, just basic insurance work, really. And then it gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger. And my biggest fear was that, obviously, with the building trade, is all the paperwork. You need to have the certificates to prove that you've done this, that, and the other. But I was quite lucky that I started off doing a lot of like small jobs and handyman jobs, like refelting sheds and this, that, and the other. And my motto was I'd never say no. So if someone says to me, could you hang me a door? I wouldn't say, well, I've never hung a door. I'd come home, go on the internet, learn how to hang a door. If I needed to, practice, and then I'd go and hang the door. So my motto was I'd never say no. And it really paid off, because over the 14, 15 years I've been doing it now, we do everything from hanging doors to small extensions. So,
That's good. Yeah.
Over the years, I've basically learned myself to do everything. And I can remember the first time I did a kitchen, I made the whole week last me putting all the units and that in, and I came home with the old worktops I took out of the place and practiced all weekends cutting the joints. Went and bought the jig and practiced all weekend to cut the joints, so I knew Monday morning I could go in and put the worktops in, because I'd never fitted a worktop in my life. So that's how I started off. And like I say, obviously building now. So I really do enjoy it, which is good.
Excellent. Okay, well, you kind of answered my next question, was why YouTube? So inspirations, is there any channel or person or anybody really that inspired you to do what you do now? I know you mentioned your daughter.
As in the channel?
As in the channel and the content in your channel.
I'd been watching, like I said, I lost my nan and granddad. So my granddad was a wood turner. He was a carpenter and a wood turner. And I'd been watching YouTube for perhaps a year, 18 months before I started wood turning. And I was watching people like Heath Knuckles, Carl Jacobs, Nick and Steve, and some of the big names. And because when you type in wood turning, they're the ones that come up. All the big names are the ones that comes up. And so I've been watching those guys for about 12, 18 months. And I said to my wife, I'd like to have a go at wood turning, because unfortunately when my nan and granddad's house was all sold, everything was, just got rid of. So I wish I'd have kept my granddad's lathe, but I didn't. So anyway, I bought a cheap lathe, thought I'd have a bit of a bash with it, and really, really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, the lathe I bought was a cheap and nasty lathe, and you just couldn't get it true. And so then that's when I bought the lathe I got now, really. And yeah, so no, I wouldn't say any particular maker has inspired me, because I'm not being horrible, but there's so many makers out there, and each one has got their own individuality.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can't say that maker, But I like Carl Jacobs' work, because he does a lot of resin work, and obviously Heath Knuckles. But I also like people like I can't think of his name. He's an American guy. No, I can't think of his name. But I like the traditional stuff as well, like the natural edge stuff, and Rod Humphreys.
Oh right, yeah.
And I like his sort of stuff as well, because he does all the traditional stuff, and it's nice, and I like both aspects. I do like my resin work, and I like obviously the traditional as well.
Brilliant. Okay, shall we have a little tour of your shop?
Yeah, where do you want to start?
It's entirely up to you, wherever you want to go. You can you flip that camera around, or?
Yeah, I'm going to, mate.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll take you in the garage first, because that's where some of it's all situated.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the garage. So obviously the table saw I've just restored, and then we have my bandsaw, which is a SIP bandsaw. It's only a small one though. That's the next investment, as a decent sized bandsaw. Then my compound saw, which is a Makita. All my clamps and my junk cabinets. I'll show you inside the junk cabinet, shall I? So all my sanders and that are in there, and planes. There you go. Look, Power Devil.
Nice. I had a Power Devil drill for years. Literally.
That's my granddad's plane of that one. So in here I've got all my more clamps and bits and bobs.
Are those the ones from Lidl? I bought a load of those from Lidl.
Those are from Screwfix, them ones.
Ah, right, okay.
So then obviously just shelving on there and there. My cyclone ready to be made. Got to have your tunes, so we've got a radio up there. More cabinets along here. These have just got some router bits and that in it, nothing major in these. And then my dovetail joint guide there. So other than that, that's the garage and extraction, most important. The fire to keep me warm in the winter. My compressor's buried down there somewhere. So in the first part of the workshop, this is what I call the clean area, where I try and do all the stuff that's clean work. So obviously just cutting board bench, laptop, and then my laser CNC, which I'm now trying to get into, which trouble is I bought that now, what a bigger one, which is usually the case, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Then obviously all my mechanics tools that I had when I was in the garage. Some of my storage for nuts, bolts, washers, and whatever else. Again, part of the OCD. And then in this part, which is what I call the machine room or machine shop, I have this is a B&Q Power. Is it Power Pro or what are those called?
Performance Pro. Performance Pro.
That's the one. Yeah, so buffer and linisher. Just shelving with all my stuff on. I'm trying to get a bit more organised with all like drawers with all like my stuff for resins and all that in them. Spare belts, loads of blanks I've made. Obviously the most important thing, your shield.
Yeah.
Pressure pot. The Pro Edge for sharpening my chisels. And this is awesome for sharpening my wood chisels as well for work. Absolutely awesome piece of work. More storage on the back there. and then all my glues up there. The Record Power. This is only the 4-inch belt sander, 6 inches disc, but a 4-inch belt. Still a good piece of kit, but I wish I'd have got the 6-inch belt one. It's just sometimes not quite wide enough.
All right.
Pillar drill. Underneath there is my steel lathe, which I've had for nearly 20 years now. Obviously, being in the engineering, you
machine lathe, is it?
Steel, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So, like a proper engineering lathe. It's actually, it came out of a cruise ship in 1968 from America, a South Bend one, and they're actually designed for doing gun barrels. So, but being the age it is, it's absolutely spot on true. You can turn a bit and it's absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
So here's my basic workstation that I use when I'm on the lathe. I made this a few weeks ago. It's a unit I had that I've just got blanks in it, wooden blanks and all that in it. But what I did is I put a board on the back so I could make this for all my different grits of sandpaper for the bowl turner. My airbrushes, obviously 100 quid's worth of roll. The pens and pencils, drill bits, this, that and the other. So I made that there. That's made life a lot easier because obviously they're not just chucked on the side. You actually got where you want them. Then I've got a cabinet there for the blanks and just stuff I use for the lathe, really, all different stuff I've made. All my turning chisels that I made. I made this when I first started, which was a great idea. It just gets them out of the box. My carbines, which I don't actually use a lot of now, to be honest, my carbines. I used to use them all the time, but I don't really use them now.
Are those Robert Sorby chisels you got there? Those dark ones?
No, these no, they're Record Power.
Oh, right, okay.
They're Record Power. That's a Robert Soulsby texture and tool.
All right.
That's Record Power part and tool. And then, just put this light on. Robert Soulsby bowl gouges, and then the Robert Soulsby small detailing tool.
All right.
And then the lathe is the Record Power CL4.
The big boy.
The big boy, which is the one with the variable speed, which, to be honest, is ideal. It means you can got to keep altering belt speeds all the time.
Does that go backwards as well, that one?
No, unfortunately not, no.
No.
And the only thing I don't like about it is it hasn't got a handle, so you can turn the head with the handle.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I don't really like about it, but it would have been nice if it goes backwards. So, that's the lathe I'm using now. And then in here is a bit of a junk room, really. So there's all the blanks, all my blanks that I've cut. So, and then as I've got 2 Land Rovers, this is the stores for the Land Rovers, which you need when you got a Land Rover.
Oh,
so it's just basically a storeroom, all my car cleaning stuff, bits and bobs, and just stuff stacked up really, and a leaking roof, as you can see.
Oh dear.
So so that's a summer job. But yeah, so that's basically the workshop.
Well, it's spread over 3 rooms then. Well, 3 rooms.
Yeah, the garage. The garage is 8 meters by just under 3.5 meters.
Right.
Then the first workshop was 12 by 8. The second bit is 4 meters by 4.8 meters, and then the storeroom out the back is 2.4 by 4.8.
So it's a nice size then.
Yeah, it is a nice size, and I'm really lucky to have it. And to be honest, this year the plan was to build, because I just got rid of my swimming pool because I had a swimming pool at the back. Flip the camera back. The plan was to put this up here. Like I say, because I got rid of the swimming pool, the plan was where my swimming pool was, I've got a gap 9 meters by 4.5 meters. So the plan was to extend out there and turn it into a woodworking shop, because I'd like to start doing a bit more cabinet making. But unfortunately, at the moment, I can't. We'll have to wait until all this virus stuff is all over.
Yeah,
obviously.
Definitely. Well, that's a nice. It's a nice workshop. I like the way it's separated into its own different studios almost. That's quite good. especially
Yeah,
if
the
you do
only
resi work. You know.
yeah, the only disadvantage is in the machine shop or the machine area where obviously all the main tools are. When you're turning, you get a lot of dust.
Yeah.
Even with the extractor going, you still get quite a bit of dust transferring in here. So every now and again, I have to spend like a day just clearing all the shelves and hoovering all the shelves down. And I was like, "Oh, put a door." I go, "Yeah, but the trouble is the door will be open 90% of the time,
Yeah.
and that'll just be in the way. So that's not even worth it." So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
but I am really lucky that I've got what I've got.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Right. So thanks for the tour.
You're welcome.
Just a few more questions for you now, if you don't mind.
No, of course.
So, as you know, Makers has been postponed. So,
Yeah.
you still going to go in August?
Yeah, I've booked my hotel.
Yep.
The hotel's all booked. Tickets are all ready. So yeah, obviously they're going to honour the tickets, so that's not a problem. And it's actually worked out a bit better for us because my little one's off school, so we can
All
stay
right.
on the Sunday night, so we ain't got to rush back on the Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's worked out a bit better for us, to be honest.
It's worked out good for us as well because originally we couldn't take Thomas with us because of school, but now we can. So he's happy. He went last year. He loved every second of it, even though it cost me a fortune. He loved every second of it. Right. So, so what projects are you working on at the moment? What can we expect coming up in the next video?
I'm doing a colouring video for this week. I watched. I don't know if you see Martin's live the other night. Martin's been doing quite a few lives, isn't he, through because he can't demo.
Yeah, I was
Machine.
actually. It was this last Tuesday. I was live while we went live as well.
Oh right, okay.
So I didn't see it.
So I was watching his, and he did a. I've never done a burnt piece where you burn the bottom to bring out the grain.
Yeah.
And I've never done that, so I think I might have a bash at that. Actually, okay. I might burn my workshop then in the process, but
hopefully not.
No, hopefully not.
Right. Okay. So I always ask people this: is there a tool that you love and a tool that you hate, or favourite and worst?
Hard to say, really. I use so many different tools through work. I've got to say my lathe is the favourite at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that it don't matter how bad a day you've had, whenever you got on a lathe, everything just disappears.
Yeah.
It's not like if you're welding or you're making stuff, your mind's still occupied. But when you're turning, I don't know whether everybody does it, but when I'm on the lathe, everything just goes out of my head and I'm just concentrating on that one thing in front of me.
You just focus on that tip of that chisel, don't you? You know
exactly.
what I mean?
And it's like I said at the start, it's been such a, with the people I've met within the community and the actual turning. You mean I feel over the last year my turning's gone tenfold over the last year since went to Makers last year and spoke to several people, because there's one thing seeing them on the internet, but when you see people face to face, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's why I went to Makers last year, to meet a lot of people that I'd been watching for such a long time. And I feel with speaking to people and learning how they do things and getting a better understanding how, I mean, up until Makers last year, I'd never used a bowl gouge. They used to frighten me because I tried them and kept getting catches. And that weren't until I spoke to Martin and he told me to go to one of his demos at Makers. And I stood watching him. He explained it to me, how you ride the bevel and all this, that, and the other. I never even dreamt that I was going to use a bowl gouge. That's why I always used to use my carbines.
Yeah.
But so with that, it just makes you, and once you start to get a bit more confident, your work obviously increases and it gets better. And that's how I feel I felt. But my worst tool,
it's usually something that you're scared of, and most people, it turns out that it's things like a plane. I mean, they're deadly.
Yeah. Well, they are, but I use them every day, don't I? So it's like, like people like frighten the circular saws, but I use a circular saw every day. I'd say the only thing I'm really frightened of is this laser engraver, because of the laser. That's the only real thing that frightens me, because obviously it's new to me. I've only had it a few months, and it's not just it's you burning yourself with it; it's your eyesight as well. So that's the thing. That's the thing that worries me in the workshop, because when it's going, I always try not to be in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say the laser engrave is the thing that I'm not frightened of it. I'm just
Yeah.
wary of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, direction of channel. Where are you hoping to be in 12 months?
Still on the YouTube, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always said I've never got. I want the channel to grow, obviously, but I'm never going to make a living out of YouTube,
Right.
and I don't think the channel will ever grow big enough for me to make it. If it does, then amazingly great. But I've never ever started YouTube to make a living out of it. I've always done it as a hobby, and I do it because I enjoy it. And I'm like you. I enjoy the editing side, and you mean you can spend an hour, you can spend 5 hours editing, depending on how much detail you want to put into your videos.
Yeah.
And obviously, the more you do, the better you get at it, and the quicker you get at it. And it's nice. Like I've just started playing around with green screening and other bits and bobs, which is nice because it sort of makes your video a little bit more entertaining for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if the channel grows, amazing. I mean, I'm really amazed how the channel's grown over the last 12 months, to be honest. And I'm just happy that people want to watch what I do, to be honest, because like I said, I do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you mean if the channel grows, then absolutely excellent.
Great. Right. So just a couple more. What camera equipment do you use?
I'll get it and show you, shall I?
Yeah, please.
Right, I use 2 Canons. I'll put it on there. It's easier if I put it on there to read it. So I use 2 of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what I do is the Ligra HFR 806.
Okay.
Really good camera. I've just improved all the lighting in the workshop with LED lighting because I was getting to a stage where I was losing camera quality because I couldn't get the lighting correct.
Yeah.
And I tried all different things. I tried like lights on tripods, but you always seem to be either in front of them or there's a shadow and this, that, and the other. So I decided to bite the bullet and buy loads of LED lighting and just change every single fluorescent I had in the workshop as LEDs. And to be honest, the video quality has improved vastly just through improving the lighting, because obviously the camera can see everything a lot more clearly and the shutter speeds work a lot quicker and this, that, and the other. So yeah, I'm really pleased with these cameras. I know they're not cheap. I think they were about 200 quid each. But at the end of the day, no, for a handheld camcorder, they're worth the weight in gold. And like what I do is I just use a 128 gig card in each, and then whenever I'm finished video, I just take them both and upload them onto the PC.
Yeah.
Which to me is easier than trying to save it onto a laptop and then transferring it over and this, that, and the other. I know a lot of people save straight onto their laptops, but I find it easy to do that. And the reason I use 2 cameras is so I can get 2 different angles, right? Because I forget, because I get so engrossed in the work, I forget to move the camera. So I started with 1 camera, and that was just like one place all the time.
Yeah.
And you'd end up losing some of you couldn't see some of the stuff I was doing. So I thought, well, I'll buy another camera, and then that gives me 2 different angles. So what I try and do now, I have one situated in one place, looking at the piece all the time, and then the other one I try and move around for different angles when I remember.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. Okay. Right. Do you have a shout out? Is there a channel that you want me to put into the description?
I've been doing, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been doing a bit of a shout out weekly.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
There is some really good makers out there. The guy that jumps to mind is John Sherlock. Have you ever heard of him?
Nope. What's his channel name?
John Sherlock.
John Sherlock.
Yeah. I believe I've done him as a maker shout out either not this week, coming the week after.
Okay.
And some of his work is absolutely outstanding. He means a really good turn. I don't know if his channel's not very old, to be honest. Right. He's only got perhaps a dozen videos up. But I don't know whether he's been turning that long.
Excuse me.
That's all right. Like I say, he's only got about a dozen videos up. But I think he's been turning a bit longer in that because the quality of his work is really, really good. and his video editing skills are really, you know what I mean, how he engrosses you in the video from start to finish is really, because like all different angles and really
Yeah.
good video editing as well.
Okay, I'll stick him in the description. Well, a link to his channel. Well, that's it from me. Massive thanks for letting me invade your space and your time. So this will go out on a Thursday night. Right. So guys, if you are not a subscriber of Steve's, head over if you like what you see. Give him a follow. Give him your support. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. And Steve, thank you very much. And I will see you at Makers.
You will. See you, folks.
Right. Come on, end broadcast. End broadcast.